Welcome back to Richard's Toy Room. It's time for another Ricky's Quickies. This one is something that I just kind of came up with off the cuff. So I'm trying to put up my 12-inch Megos that I currently have. And now it's time to actually go through and repair the thing since they're going to be on permanent display. I don't have the most perfect specimen, but I'll show you. I mean, I have this 12-inch Superman. And he had one broken leg, and I also had a 12-inch Spider-Man, and he had the other broken leg. So what I did was I took the one good leg from the Superman and I put it on the Spider-Man, and so then I had a Superman with two broken legs. But I also had a Buck Rogers with a gray head and missing a shoe. So what I decided to do was, since I'm still missing a shoe for the Buck Rogers, I just swapped the bodies over. Since the Buck Rogers was in decent shape, I just swapped heads and put the Superman suit on the one I just showed you. That was the old Buck Rogers body because he had two unbroken knee joints. So now I've got a Buck Rogers with two broken knee joints. So I'm sure you've seen this before. It's very common on these 12-inch vintage Mego bodies. But you got the, this is what always happens, the male end breaks off and you're left with the pin broken off into the female receptacle end. And I basically have two of those. So I was trying to find, I mean, I know I can order replacement pins, but I was trying to find a easy solution that maybe I had something around the house here I could use, and I thought, well, if I could find a couple of machine screws that would fit, between the joint here and a couple of nuts, maybe possibly might need some washers depending on, what I could find. I also thought maybe about, popping the pin out of this and getting a screw that would thread into this, and then just put this in and then thread the screw in from the other side. And I guess that is actually a possibility if you can find the exact right you probably need a sort of a metal screw or a wood screw or something along that line, something with a good bite to it. Anyhow, so I'm looking through all my screws and I found two screws that were perfect. They were the right size to fit in here. The heads went in below the surface here, so they were perfect. And I found one nut that would work. All the other nuts I had were just a little too big. And what my whole point I'm trying is to not modify anything here, so that if I decided to, in the future sell or whatever some of these figures to somebody else and they wanted to replace the pins, they would be able to just take those screws out and just pop in the pins and nothing would be damaged or cut or modified or whatever. And I didn't want to glue or tape it because that's just, a ghetto repair. So what I finally found, and I'll show you, and I think it's an easy and cheap solution, I think will be an alternate, repair for some people. So I was just about to give up because I couldn't find that second nut. And I just happened to look in and I saw I had a bunch of these wall anchors. Almost anything you buy that you can mount on a wall now, they give you a little pack of wall anchors and screws and stuff. Well, the most important part is that you get a screw. Now these are the kind of screws that go into those wall anchors, but this is a short one. And you want the screw to not stick out too far. Now this one, it's kind of hard to see. I'm trying not to drop everything here. Just the very point of it sticks out of here, but it's also recessed into here. But when you put the anchor in, the screw won't stick out the other side. So then you had to find, now the length doesn't matter so much, although you'd want to get one that's pretty close to the distance you have to go between the joint here. But the diameter is what's critical here. So basically these are pretty much like the same diameter as the original pins. So what you're going to do is you go from the outside of the leg and you push the wall anchor through till it's in. So you got something that looks like that then. Then you just take the screw, just as if you were going to mount this in the wall. And you screw it in. Then you take some snips. Went flying. This is what you end up with. Now I could back that off just a hair because I can feel the point of that. You don't want it to damage the outfits. So there, I just backed up just a little bit. Now you have an actually usable, posable 12-inch knee joint for practically nothing. Now you could trim these down a little bit. I didn't trim that quite down enough there. And if your screw is a little too long, you can just snip the end of it off too. Or file it down or something. That's not a big deal. You just, you want a clean joint. So, I mean, that, you put it in, I'll just grab these real quick. These are Buck Rogers pants. So if you just threw it into his pants here, as you can see, nothing shows. And it's a workable working joint. And it doesn't damage the clothing. So there you go. There's a quick fix. I got to do this other one. I would have preferred a Phillips head screw, but these are what I just happen to have laying around. And I do have a few more in case I run into some more 12-inch busted Megos. I gotta go chase all these little pieces now. Now I can't put this body back together because I actually have a broken rubber band, but as you can see, now I've got basically a fixed body as soon as I get a new rubber band for it. But there you go, perfectly good for display, and you can even sit them down too because their knees now work. So I hope you enjoyed that quick fix, and stay tuned for more videos.